All right, folks, here's a look at your Mega 3 Storm Team Doppler Radar live stream. Your Wilson Mega 3 Storm Team Doppler Radar live stream. A lot going on weather-wise here. Lots of changes happening over what we have seen over the past week. Let's get you updated first on what occurred earlier today. Had a high temperature of 48 and a low of 25, according to the National Weather Service. Now, that's still below average for this time of year. That's a 30-year average, and what makes the averages, of course, are the extremes. So 38 to 60, the records are 10 and 82. So we were a little bit on the low side there, certainly on our temperature span today, but nowhere close to the records. But nonetheless, it was a cool day that goes down in the record books. But it's getting warmer as we speak, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Here's some of our KTBS 3 Weather Watcher reports today. They're kind of spread out across the Arklatex, as we've been talking about, and they report from their neighborhoods, which is kind of nice because the automated temperature sites are usually at the airports around the Arklatex area, but not too many people live at the airport, so it's nice to get a feel for what it is in your hometown. For instance, Hughes Springs, Paul Piccola reporting 51 for his afternoon high. Again, the average is about 60, so certainly a little bit cooler than average. Redwater, Texas, Chuck Cam registered 47 right up the way in Texarkana. Reed Eisenhower had a high of 48. A little bit farther south and east, Wayne Hatfield over in the Homer area, also there in the upper 40s. A little bit farther south, we got a few more reports. Ronnie Velo in the Ruston area at 45. Down the way, Barry Howard and Clarence at 52. The low 50s for Gary Battlefield over in the Elm Grove area. A little bit southwest of there, Kay Berry and Stonewall there in the low 50s. And June Jones, Elysian Fields there at 49. And up in Cypress Lake, just east of the town of Benton there, we had 51 degrees over there in Bossier Parish. And Gary Stratton and Blanchard also in the lower 50s. Randall Elliott and Benton. Monty Rankin there, Benton close to 50. Low 50s for Mike Laws in Shreveport. Ronnie Hull in Shreveport, he had 52. And over across the river there, Mark Potter, a longtime weather watcher of Bossier City, at a high temperature of 51. Thank you, weather watchers, for that information. So as you gather, the upper 40s to the low 50s, still well below the average of 60 today. Tomorrow, though, just the opposite. Will be well above the average, probably pushing the mid-60s, perhaps close to 70 by afternoon. 38 is where we are in Texarkana currently at the automated site at the airport. Winds out of the south at 5 miles an hour. The temperature at the Shreveport Regional Airport now 39 with calm winds. And we're also looking at the upper 20s, even colder up in the Queen now. 28 up in Magnolia, got the lower 30s in Minden, Ruston there. Mansfield checking in at 34. Natchitoches, little airport down that way, 33 already. And you're looking at the low 30s in Marshall, mid 30s currently up in the Ida Bell area. So we're off to a running start here with clear skies, very low humidity, and very little breeze out there. And I suspect that we'll have a very cold night with some frost out there. And then things change quite a bit as we go on into the afternoon hours. Here's a Wells Night Mega 3 Doppler radar. You might recall 24 hours ago, we had some snow showers showing up. A lot of that snow was just not reaching the ground. It was disappearing or sublimating, like you have the water evaporating. Well, snow, the crystals were just going away into thin air there, and that's called sublimation. Don't see that tonight. That weather disturbance has moved on to the south and east of us, so much more stability here tonight. So we're not expecting any precipitation, 0% possibility of anything measurable tonight, and same goes for your Monday. So Monday looks like a pretty nice day, although I think we'll see some high clouds start working in our general direction. Here's the big picture. So what I put on the map, you see the arrows going there. That's the jet stream. That's the upper level river wind that controls our surface. For the past several days, we've been in this big trough, kind of like if you live out in the country and you have horses, you probably have a watering trough for the horses. And that's kind of what it looks like there. And the polar vortex, the little upper level circulation that hangs out on the North Pole, kind of got dislodged, and a piece of it broke down and worked on into the Tennessee River Valley. Well, today it's moving up near the New England states, and that's pretty much it for us. So as that's continuing to move away from us, what we're watching is this area where the jet stream is blowing up to the north. It's called a ridge of high pressure. We're watching that build into our part of the country, and it means a couple things. It means stability, but also it means that we're also going to warm up quite a bit here. So a nice weather change if you're looking for some more seasonal type weather or even above average concerning temperatures. You'll probably like our weather pattern change. Now, beneath that ridge, there's a little disturbance that's out west of Baja California. And that little disturbance is going to kind of undercut the main flow there and take the subtropical jet and move on over into our neck of the woods, possibly as early as late Monday night on into probably Tuesday night. And it'll even have a what we call a surface reflection, a Pacific type cold front. So not looking at any Arctic blast coming from the north. This will be air that's originating over the Pacific Ocean and working our way, kind of getting squeezed out a little bit over the mountains, redeveloping over the Texas Panhandle and pushing through our area as we get into probably the latter part of Tuesday, passing through most of the Arctics. But having that weather system, a little bit of a weather change coming, that means a possibility of rain, but still fairly mild to warm temperature-wise here as we go through that course of time. Current weather map shows high pressure down in the Gulf of Mexico with a light southerly to southwesterly wind. Still some snow showers up there in Tennessee, southern Illinois, Missouri, northeast Arkansas. None of that business is coming our way. That's just the jet stream. That's the edge of the jet stream that was back over to our west last night. Now it's up to our north and east as our ridge is building in. So again, the weather pattern changing and all that cold business is moving off to the north and east. I mean, it's still cold out there tonight. And again, we'll probably have some frost and probably near freezing or below to start into our Monday. But with everybody back to school and back to work, as far as I know, it looks like the weather conditions will certainly cooperate with you there for your Monday and pretty much all week, and especially Mardi Gras too for next weekend. 39 currently at the Shreveport Regional Airport. Once again, upper 20s in Jackson, much colder as you head up toward Nashville. Looks like the Montgomery, Alabama temperature is a little erroneous there, 65. I think the folks in Montgomery would be excited to have 65 as the current temperature, but I suspect it's probably below freezing. All right, here's our precision cast. So tonight, not as cold. We'll have some frost around the area, even with it being so dry outside. Some patchy frost can't be ruled out. As we head toward dawn, some high clouds will start coming our way, showing up in the white colors, but still looks like a nice start to our day. We get into the latter part of the afternoon, the high clouds increasing, coming from the west, starting to fill the sky, thickening up a little bit. That's an indication that that little weather system off of Baja California is undercutting our ridge and pushing on over toward southwest Texas. The computer model indicates it doesn't have a whole lot of moisture to work with, a lot of that getting wrung out over the mountains, and really it doesn't even show up much there on the computer model. But once it gets a little closer to us, it'll tap into some Gulf of Mexico moisture, and you can kind of see that showing up in the green colors. Showers and a few isolated thunderstorms could occur. This is the surface part of that upper level system as it's coming by, so it has a little, again, a Pacific front pushing through, and so we'll have a little bit of shower activity. That's early Tuesday, and that's Tuesday afternoon. Where you see the brighter colors is the possibility of some stronger showers or isolated thunderstorms, but it's going to be kind of patchy on the rain. It's not a strong system. It doesn't have a lot of dynamic support. That, in other words, that upper level trough out in the eastern Pacific is not very strong. So there's not a lot of spin in the atmosphere causing dynamic lift. And also, it doesn't have a lot of what we call wind shear to tap into for some help with the dynamics to make for stronger storms, longer-lived storms. And instability, hard to come by in this case here. In other words, it looks like just more showers than anything else. So not anticipating severe weather. That front moves through as we get into your Tuesday evening, and the rain pushes off to the south and east. And as we head toward Wednesday timeframe, we'll see clearing and improving weather, although slightly cooler behind that Pacific front. A little closer to home, again, patchy frost tonight. Not as cold out there, but clear skies for the most part. And then we get into tomorrow, the high clouds start streaming in from the southwest. You'll still see some sunshine out there amongst those high clouds, and it will warm up. Correspondingly, the southwest wind will get us there probably in the mid-60s Some folks possibly close to 70. And then we get into early Tuesday. You can see the green on the map. There could be some showers around. And then we head on into the afternoon, possibly a few isolated thunderstorms, but really, again, not a lot of instability. And that seems to be, there's not a lot of moisture either, but there's not a lot of instability. A couple of the main driving factors that would give us big storms. So kind of non-eventful with this weather feature, but the rain, we'll take it. Especially when it's been so dry. Even before the ice storm, we could have used a lot of rain. We got the ice, but I still think we're going to need a little more moisture to take care of our drought. So showers and a few isolated thunderstorms there Tuesday afternoon, and then all that business starting to pull out of here as we get into your Tuesday evening, and the clouds will be slow to clear as we head toward Wednesday. Forecast rain amounts right now, nothing terribly high. Half inch perhaps at the most, but nothing terribly heavy expected out of this weather system as it moves on by. All right, forecast wise, about 30 in Shreveport tonight, probably colder out in the countryside, especially the eastern part of the Arklatex where your winds are a little bit lighter. Western sections, you'll have a little bit of a light southwest wind that'll probably slow your cool down overnight. Probably the low to mid 30s in East Texas, but getting up in Oklahoma and Arkansas, higher elevation, but also less wind and clear skies, low humidity, probably getting down into the 20s, and northern Louisiana and down toward Toledo Bend, probably also the 20s. So a cold night for you and some frost out there. And then, boy, a big warm up tomorrow afternoon. Highs in the 60s, increasing clouds, much warmer weather for us. Winds out of the southwest at 15. Those clouds thickening up as we get into tomorrow night. But until then, big change over where we have been. 60s across the board, low 60s in Arkansas and Oklahoma, over toward Ruston, mid 60s though, Minden and into East Texas, and Shreveport probably getting a little closer to 70 degrees. So really jumping up there in the warmth department. All right, we get into Tuesday, and so we get that front coming. Ahead of that front, it'll warm up some, probably in the 60s, and then we have that chance of measurable rain. 80% probability means I'm pretty certain that you're going to see some measurable rain, at least 1/100th of an inch, or at least enough to wet the ground. That's what the numbers reflect there. So we'll get a little bit of rain. We'll start out pretty mild in the 50s, 60s in the afternoon, winds out of the southwest at 10. Those winds will shift into the northwest once that frontal boundary passes by late in the day. Wednesday, a little bit cooler, highs in the mid 50s. That's below average for this time of year. Clouds thinning out. We get into mostly clear on Thursday, start out near freezing, close to 60 by afternoon. And then a huge warm up as the winds settle down there late in the day Thursday, and we get a southwest wind going again. And southwest winds that we've been talking about in the past few days, coming from a higher elevation to a lower elevation, compresses the air, and that type forecast usually bodes well for warming us up, and that looks like that could be the case also with sunshine there, and the upper level weather pattern conducive for that too, with the upper ridge still pretty dominant. So about 68 your high on Friday, and a weak cold front backs into the area on Saturday with highs only in the mid 60s, but boy, that looks like a decent day there for, we got all kinds of Mardi Gras going on there next weekend. And then Sunday right now, it's still several days away, but it looks like nearly 70 degrees. That is just like batting 1,000 there if you're looking for some warm weather finally. The next 7 days looks pretty good for you. Not a big chance of rain, so all in all, decent forecast there again for the next 7. Okay, that's it for now, but we'll see you back here in about 45 minutes on KPXJ CW 21. And then at 10 o'clock on KTBS Channel 3 News. So we sure appreciate you watching, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.